All the things I'm missing, good victuals, love, and kissing, are waiting at the end of my ride. Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Zareth Prevails. We're on a mission from God today to talk about the best 5v5 defensive team comps. Remember, I'm going to be releasing the best 5v5 offensive team comps as well at the same time as this video, so check that out. The link is in the video description, or if you wait to the end of this video, you can always just click the link. In addition, the next day after this is published, I'll be releasing I try to do this every season, try to do a core teams thing for 5v5 or 3v3, whatever it is, so that you guys can have a refresh on what's best if you don't have Galactic Legends. And so that video is actually going to have no Galactic Legends now. I use my alternate account, which is a bigger account with very few Galactic Legends, but in this case I'm just going to make the teams like I didn't have any Galactic Legends, and so you guys can see what things you can use to be able to, like progress toward, and at least you have some goals, and you'll be able to see some things for the off meta, etc. We'll see how that goes. This is a little bit new from what I've done in the past, where I've usually just kept my alt accounts, Galactic Legends, in there. This time we're doing it differently. So this season is pretty different, guys. The new meta, it has a lot of weird interactions that it's very difficult to predict. And so, I mean, a lot of the best ways to really keep up with the meta is going to be watching me on Twitch. Come check that out. Link in the video description as well. Of course, it's free to watch. Come hang out with us. It's a good time, folks. And otherwise, it's let's see what we're gonna do here. Remember, I'm not promising that I'm gonna use these exact team comps, though there are teams that I promise I think are pretty good. So whoa, we're in the game. Madness. Let's talk about this, folks. So we've got there are a lot of teams, guys, that can be on offense and defense. Right now, in my opinion, this is the best defensive comp for Jabba. Like, the Afrocron just makes this team not very good, frankly, guys. It's on defense, if your opponent has a decent Afro team, and they know how to use it, because you look at history, this is the last season that that Afrocron is going to be in existence at all. So I've been keeping Jabba for offense sometimes. This is the defensive version if you want to put him on defense. If your opponent doesn't have Afra, if they don't know how to use him, or use her, if you just need another Galactic Legend on defense to mess with them, whatever you want to do, this is the team comp, in my opinion. You can replace this maybe with Embo. I do prefer Gamorrean Guard here, though I think I will also be swapping out for Embo once I have a few more relics on him. So this is the comp, folks, and I mean, I'll be putting out a faction essentials for Jabba hopefully next week sometime, but yeah, for now, yeah, let's just do this team on offense or defense, one way or another. It's a very strong team. There's just a lot going against it right now. The Afrocron and the Scoundrel Cron that denies revives, so Chrysanthemum doesn't come back. It's just, the deck is stacked, folks. Now, for defense, if you want to run a Supreme Leader Kylo team on defense, this is the team comp I would personally choose, folks. I like this team because it has General Hux and it stops people from gaining turn meter. Now, it can be beat by just a pretty simple Jedi Revan, Jedi Luke team comp that's been around for years at this point. So it's very easy to off-meta on some levels, but if you want to put it on defense, this is the team comp I would advise. Double Tank is usually tougher to beat, and then Hux, you probably want to put a lot of tenacity on. I think I've probably gotten away from that. What am I doing with him right now? Yeah, I'm just like speeding him up. What am I... Yeah, I don't have much tenacity on him, so I wouldn't put it on defense usually. I wouldn't usually advise that, because then, like, the most common counter to this team, of course, is Jedi Master Luke, and Jedi Master Luke is able to just, they can just run F-Lux on that Hux, so you want a lot of tenacity on him. Hold on, folks, that's like we're frozen or something. Alright, and we're back. I had to restart. So, yeah, this team on defense, it can be okay. You want him to have more tenacity, though, folks. I ran out of good tenacity mods, so I've kind of gotten away from that. Probably not really much excuse. I don't know why he doesn't have more tenacity. It's a little embarrassing that I'm showing this to everyone. So, why don't I edit it out? Because sometimes it's best to just be real about modding, folks. People want to have this image of having the best mods ever, and I just, you know, I have decent mods. I have flaws, though, so best to just be honest about it. Now, on defense, I do like this Qui-Gon team, though. It's starting to lose a little momentum, folks. You gotta have a fast Qui-Gon, a fast Ki-Adi-Mundi, and a fast Jedi Knight Anakin. And then Ahsoka and Kenobi both kind of turbo themselves a little bit if you read their kits. Especially with Qui-Gon, you want all Galactic Republic, Jedi. And here's the thing, folks. A lot of people think you can get by with just putting Anakin on here, and he just doesn't do enough damage. If you have Ki-Adi-Mundi here, though, man, last season I actually cracked up quite a bit. My opponent, in fact, I think it was in 3v3 even, used Jedi Master Luke on his own to try to counter just this core Qui-Gon, Ki-Adi-Mundi, and Jedi Knight Anakin. And Jedi Master Luke died to this team. He killed Qui-Gon and Anakin, couldn't kill Ki-Adi-Mundi, and yeah, just lost straight up. Like, didn't time out, just straight up lost. And you know, this team comp is just very, very strong. Even with a Galactic Legend, you got to be a little cautious to it. And so, yeah, this team is good. The only problem, of course, is that it's going to undermine your Jedi Master Kenobi squad by quite a bit, because Snips and General Kenobi both really want to be on that team, and if they're not, then bad things can happen, especially like Ki-Adi-Mundi can really be used to bolster your Jedi Master Luke team. This whole team can be kind of subsumed into a lot of other different parts, which I think I'll be doing a little bit this season. It's just too bad. Like, you also just need all three of these characters to be faster than your opponent's Echo, like Bad Batch Echo, which usually you can. Remember, Ki-Adi-Mundi gets plus 80 speed, and Jedi Knight Anakin and Qui-Gon both get plus 60 speed. You need them to be somewhere in the ballpark. Well, depending on who you're facing, but you know, like the people I'm facing all have at least 365 speed on their Echo. Like, it's just, that's a fact of life. And so I have my Ki-Adi-Mundi at plus 80 speed. He's at 384 speed, so he's fast enough. Qui-Gon is plus 60 speed. He's at 387 speed, and then let's see, Anakin, I think he's actually a little substantially slower than the other two, unfortunately. Yeah, 372 speed. So I need to speed him up a little bit just to keep up with the other two. But it's something to keep in mind, folks. This team just prints wins. It is so strong. Depending on, like, I get holds with this team all the time on either this account or my alt. Very, very strong team on defense. You just have to know if your opponent has a Bad Batch team that's fast enough, they'll just melt your team's face off. They won't have a face anymore. They won't be recognizable except for how badly they smell, because they'll be burned to a crisp. They'll be indistinguishable from Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru, and you don't want that, trust me. Alright, General Skywalker. On defense, man, there keeps being more and more counters to this team, but it's still, on offense, I took it on offense a few times. You can kill Rey with this team, depending on the Rey team comp. Right now, I don't really think that the current Rey meta is really going to allow that. With Sortie doing her madness on a Rey team, sometimes you just want this team on defense to draw out. But people are going to be using their CLS teams to beat this all the time, left and right. I don't know how big of a factor General Skywalker is going to play for the next 4 months, to be honest. Like, a lot of times he'll just be beat negligibly with a lot of different teams, or he won't be able to kill anything of substance and lose you a lot of banners on offense. So, well, stay tuned for him. I think right now, because he's such an inefficient attacker, I prefer to have him on defense. But if he's just getting beat trivially with this CLS team that I'm about to show you, then maybe consider taking him for offense so that he can do something. I don't have high hopes for Skywalker this season, unfortunately. So this Luke team, guys, with the Chupio Kron is just going to be crazy. The only regret about this team is that we don't have a Datacron. Like we already have a really good Datacron for Scoundrels that lets Han get 3 shots in a row right off the bat, or more like 5 shots in a row. And you know, the whole time Chupio and Chewbacca are both assisting the whole time. Like it's a mess for your opponent. The problem being, like I love that Kron. The Chupio Kron is even better than that, and there's not a gap. I wish that it had been like, all right, we had 4 months with this really awesome Kron, and then we got the Chupio Kron. That's my only, and it's kind of just I don't know. I shouldn't be whining, but I am. So hooray for that. Hooray for the opportunity and freedom to whine, I suppose. We have Lord Vader here, and this is the comp that I've discovered has the most hope against a bounty hunter comp. It's not completely bulletproof against bounty hunters, but this is the team that I would typically advise people to use with Lord Vader if you want to stop bounty hunters from bounty hunting you. It also, if you have high enough relics for Royal Guard and Stormtrooper, which mine are like barely passable, but if you have good defense mods or something like that, then this team isn't going to be trooperable either, or at least it's going to be very challenging for troopers to be able to do anything, especially if you make your Darth Vader the weakest. Then he's going to get a word in edgewise pretty early on, probably. He'll be able to force crush. He'll probably go before their troopers, in fact. And once you get dots on that team, it gets to be almost impossible for them to work. So you need Darth Vader on this comp. So then the only thing that'll kill it, like a lot of different meta teams will kill this, but they're using either like Dr. Aphra or they're using one of their Galactic Legends. So it's probably my favorite comp if you're not going to use Maul. Of course, there are stronger comps involving Maul, but Maul's just too strong on offense for right now with that cool Canderous Kron, especially because Maul on offense kills Reva sometimes. I don't think I even mentioned that in the offense video. So hopefully you guys watched this video. The people hearing that are like, well, duh, of course I'm hearing it, but it's an enigma to me. Just kidding. All right, so here's the team on defense right now that I'm looking at. I don't know for sure if this is the best. You need the Sortie Kron, you need Relic 7 on Sortie, but then the problem with that is, folks, there's the Sortie Kron is like, typically you need Sortie to be in the lead. That's a prerequisite, kind of, to being able to get your spare parts buff. You need her to be in the lead to give spare parts out. And so her Datacron is just like, hey, when spare parts go away, like they prevent auto kills on droids. Like the permanent death, if they have spare parts, they just die once, they revive, even if it's to like an annihilate or a disintegrate, and normally she has to be lead. The problem is, the Datacron just says that spare parts show up every time she takes a turn, and that means that L3 will just keep getting spare parts on her until you take out Sortie. And like, Sortie will never have spare parts, I don't think, at any point, but L3 will. And so you have a tank, like the really tanky character that Rey is making even more tanky, and they have spare parts, so you have to kill them twice, and you don't have insta-kill available for them. This is a very strong team because you also have 2 instances of healing immunity. If you want to put it on defense, this is the team that I would use. I think Rey's going to be used on offense and defense a lot this season for me because she's so versatile. With the current Kron sets, she can do a lot of really interesting stuff. And she's very, very relevant right now. It's just ironic that we have a Resistance Kron right now that exists in the game, and a lot of these defensive comps are going to use a droid Kron instead of Resistance. It's very bizarre. But this is the team comp I'm looking at for defense right now. There might be stronger ones out there, but just the fact that Sortie interacts so well with L3. And if you don't have Sortie to go with it, you can really build some really strong resistance level teams as well for defense. Just involving the more standard team comps that you guys have seen a lot of times. All right, we have Jedi Master Kenobi, and this team is just not very strong. So here's the thing, guys. Usually it's going to steal someone's galactic legend, and it's not going to be a challenge for them. Someone's going to use Sith Eternal and be like, man, that was the easiest counter I ever had to Kenobi. And, you know, like, it steals all of the suspense. However, the thing is, it can't usually be countered by something less than a galactic legend, even with this weaker comp. Now, if your opponent has really strong Inquisition, which a lot of people are starting to get really strong Inquisition, and you think your opponent is skilled enough, and they're well enough modded and everything, they can beat this. This happened last season to me. Someone beat this team with their Grand Inquisitor. So, I'm not saying this is the very best team on defense. And if your opponent is really skilled, maybe bolster this with, you know, like break up that Qui-Gon team, or just keep it for offense or something. But for the most part, this is going to cost your opponent a galactic legend, and a lot of times that's all you're really looking for. Okay, so on defense, I don't think you should put Grand Inquisitor lead on defense, folks. Not in GAC. I think you should. If you have Third Sister, though, you should heavily consider putting her on defense. Just put her in the front. People are going to be scared of her and overuse, like, there's a few different cheaper team comps that are going to beat her, potentially, but, I mean, we don't know, because I have all 3 Omicrons on her, but, you know, we don't, and no one can test against those, so who knows, maybe she just won't ever be beat on defense. But if she can be beat by some cheaper stuff, some people won't try that. They'll try the really tough, like, they'll just use, like, their best team, Lord Vader or Jedi Master Kenobi or whatever, and Lord Vader isn't even a solid lock to be able to beat this, by the way, folks. It's a very crazy team, and, you know, like, Maul can beat it, though. Some people are going to try some other weird comps and lose to it. Make this team your opponent's problem. Don't worry about trying to learn it. I mean, you can just button mash your way to victory anyways if you want it for offense, but this is going to be a very, very tricky team, and I foresee a lot of people just getting stonewalled out, and a lot of rage posts saying, CG, why did you release this crazy broken character? It's going to feel that way. It already does, in fact. So here's my Sauna team, guys. You can build a couple good dash comps and a good, like, you could have 2 good scoundrel comps these days. You know, so this is mostly, yeah, these are mostly scoundrels. I guess half of them are smugglers and the others are scoundrels. So, and I guess all are scoundrels. Hondo in 3v3 is great on offense, even once his Datacron goes away. With his, currently, you still want to use his set 6 Datacron if you have it. But this comp got me a lot of holds last season because people try to use things like Bad Batch on it, and I mean, Bad Batch might work a couple times, I don't know, but I think Hondo is the thing. He just kind of stops Bad Batch from working on this team after a while. It's fairly impressive. He's a very impressive character, even in 5s. 3v3 is even more impressive. Okay, so this is the team comp of General Grievous. If you put the Datacron with the droids applying target lock on basic, remember B1 is going to be assisting on all 4 of these characters, not BB-8, but then BB-8 is going to give them a lot of extra turn meter, 8% per each, so 32% because Newt doesn't count. But then if you have the tank revive cron on Magna Guard, like, you jumpstart General Grievous, he gets bonus turns, he does AoE. Like, this team got me a crazy number of holds last season because people didn't respect it. They just tried, like, they were like, oh, I could just use Night Sisters, I could just use whatever, and this team just doesn't break the way it did because the Datacron makes it so stinking strong. So, very, very strong team, underrated, and you can use your B2 to go with Afra. Now, Malgus, I don't know, the Malgus and Traya comps, you'll be seeing me mix and match these a lot. Maybe also combine them with Sith Eternal. That's part of the joys of this of the current meta, folks, is trying to find good comps for both. This is a pretty standard, like, this Malgus team isn't going to be beat by that much stuff. Remember, I said I was going to show you guys my speed on him. I need to speed him up, so this is me telling you. Yeah, so 253. Even though he's gaining like 160 extra speed, there are a lot of bounty hunter teams that outspeed this, and so you're going to be able to just get, like, they're going to be able to nuke me before I go. I need to boost his speed by like 20 to 30 speed, which I don't know how possible that is. I have a lot of health on him, which is nice. I might need to forfeit some of that, or sacrifice some of that in favor of extra speed. Just keep in mind, you don't want too slow of a Darth Malgus. I learned that the hard way a couple times last season. This team is impenetrable unless your opponent has really fast bounty hunters, in which case it is very penetrable. The Darth Treya team with Savage was really good in 3v3. We'll be trying it more in 5v5 as well. This time we can bring Talon. It's going to be a good time. We have the Finn, Zori, Rose comp. You probably don't need Rose, though I think her Datacron is a little stronger than Zori's. So in 5s and 3s you could kind of split them up, and I didn't use Rose that much, to be honest. But if you use one of the comps that I used for Rey previously, you're kind of left with some weird, like OG Poe is decent here. Veteran Han, you could probably get something better than him. Like if you have the OG or the Resistance hero Finn and Poe bros, you could probably add one of those to this instead, just like Finn. I mean, but if you have the Kron that lets you do damage based on stuns, then that might also be really good to have Veteran Han here instead. So just your choice, like Finn, Zori, and then a combination of these three with whichever Datacron you see is better between Rose and Zori. I think the Rose one for me is going to be good because you can do Death Mark with this. Like this team is going to be so gross on defense, guys. I don't know what beats it. Like it stresses me out. I don't know what to do about it. We're just going to die. We're all going to die. So this is the Dash team that I like right now. Last season I took Bando with IG and Queel with Rey. You know, I took Rey, Ben, and these three. You get a lot of holds because people time out against it with like Dash, or sorry, with Starkiller. This team does pretty good on defense though as well. People, like, this is the opportunity, folks. I don't have it yet, but if you can find the Vendor Chewie Kron, this makes this team very, very difficult to beat. You have the pre-taunt, you have Queel boosting the whole team by quite a bit, Dash is boosting the whole team by quite a bit, Bando is keeping everyone alive. It's fairly obnoxious, folks. On defense, like this team doesn't lose to like Jedi Revan, Jedi Luke. This team doesn't really lose to that, especially if you have the Vendor Kron. So I need to get that Vendor Kron before we jump into this season. Finally, we have Tuskens. Tuskens are... people got mad at me last time. They're like, what about Tusken comps? I'm like, no one has Tuskens yet. There's like 5 people. And, you know, you can see, though, I'm starting to slowly buy them from shipments. And I'll have them maybe by the end of this season, even. Probably by the end of this season. So, I think they're good on defense, though. I don't know how to mod them or anything yet. I haven't looked that far into it. Probably need to get relics on these 2 recalcitrant young fellows as well. But, one way or another, folks, these are the teams that I'm going to be running on defense a lot. There will probably be others that I run as well, but one way or another, these are the things I'm thinking of. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching, and remember that in all things, Zareth prevails. Go watch my offensive teams if you want, or stay tuned for tomorrow, the core teams videos. Those will be fun too. Maybe. Who knows? It might not be. It will.